Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk stands before humanity, announcing an end to famine, war, and collapse. He vows that mages will step out of the shadows and save civilization. He explains how, at the brink of self-destruction, magic erased humanity's worst crises overnight. The mages become heroes. Jung Wee-hyuk becomes the most loved man alive. Yet privately, he admits to his disciple Eugene that the world still has too many problems, and he needs righteous, wise mages to help him carry his will forward. Eugene, bright-eyed and devoted, promises he will stand beside him. Years later, chaos erupts. A terrified girl collapses as some grotesque curse turns her lower body to veined stone. A massive hand touches her head. The veins spread. Her cries turn desperate, begging for another chance, then silence. Her master watches in horror, mind reeling. The rumor was real. The urban legend whispered about mages being hunted, wrecked and mangled by bizarre magic. The one stain on Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk's perfect legacy, his discarded disciple. The master recognizes the figure. Eugene. He panics, tries to reason, then releases a fireball and runs, but Eugene catches him effortlessly, turning his body to veined stone as well. The master realizing, this thing, whatever it is, cannot be magic. Elsewhere, kidnapping victims huddle in a dark confinement room. When the door opens, they believe rescue has finally come, until Eugene's horrific face appears. Chaos, screams, then silence. Detectives later assess the scene, victims in shock but alive, bearing strange marks they still can't get used to seeing. Only one mage could have done this. Detective Kim Sung-hae freezes as Eugene suddenly appears behind him, greeting him cheerfully. Eugene recounts how the victims were screaming, foaming at the mouth the moment the door opened, so he called emergency services immediately. He speaks casually, friendly, even nosy, an unsettling contrast to his eerie aura and nightmarish magic. He hands over the criminals now transformed into trembling jelly balls. Kim Sung-hae tries to remind himself not to judge by appearances. Eugene discusses recent rumors, a gruesome-faced serial killer roaming the country. The detective listens politely. Kim Sung-hae wonders internally, should I tell him he's the one from the rumors? But Eugene simply hands him a flyer he's been preparing and hurries off to start something important. A narration explains how magic became woven into every part of society: food, medicine, safety, even weather. Yet mage numbers are critically low. Institutes urge people to train. Meanwhile, Eugene begins distributing flyers for Eugene's Magic Academy. He reflects on his promise to his master, on how many people misuse magic for cruelty, and how simply smashing wrongdoers doesn't fix the deeper problem. He resolves to find a better way. Relaxing in a garden with iced coffee, Eugene ponders, how can he create mages of wisdom, knowledge, and righteous character? His thoughts are interrupted when a teacher and her students freeze in terror at his appearance. Then it hits him: marketing. He needs to attract attention. He approaches people with flyers, but they flee. No one even lets him speak, so he decides to stand out more. Eugene enlarges himself like a growing monster, sprouting giant limbs and tentacles to hand out flyers more efficiently. He animates the flyers so they talk. Total pandemonium breaks out. People scream, faint, run. Eugene is delighted. This is great outreach. Flashy, memorable, entertaining magic, just like the tall amusement park clown he saw as a kid. He thinks proudly, this is how you bring magic to the world. A sudden blast of fire explodes against Eugene's head. A veteran combat mage, Director Choi Yi-suk of Prime Mage Academy, arrives and declares the serial killer monster subdued. Parents swoon, students admire him, and he internally celebrates the perfect PR opportunity. Until he realizes Eugene's body is missing. Then, Eugene appears right in front of him. Calm, uninjured, and disappointed. Eugene grabs the director by the jaw, muffling his screams. He accuses him plainly, "You're the serial killer." He explains how he knew. Only a real murderer would casually blow off someone's head with magic in public. No sane mage would use magic for brutality. No one with a conscience would study magic only to slaughter innocent people. He condemns the director and knocks him out to atone when he wakes up. Moments later, the director's upper body melts into a mass of veins, his own crimes returning to him. Eugene leaves, casually mumbling that he needs to finish promo. At a mage battlefield littered with unconscious mages, people watch disturbing footage on their phones, a terrifying creature walking openly in daylight. They speculate about disguises, rumors, and whether it's true that the monster is Jung Wee-hyuk's disciple. Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk's daughter, now a powerful figure, receives the photo. One glance, a sharp inhale, she crushes the phone in her hand. Even after more than a decade, she could never forget that face. Her inner voice trembles with a mixture of shock anger, and something deeper. After all these years, her chance to prove herself to her father has finally arrived. She sets her sights on Eugene. The scene shifts. Mr. Eugene, leave the killer stuff to the police and focus on your academy. We'll call if we need help. Got it, Eugene smiles. Guess I'll finish promoting elsewhere. Bye-bye. The officers cheer awkwardly. Take care. Eugene hums to himself. Next stop, the elementary school. Eugene teach. It has a nice ring to it. He imagines opening his academy, filling it with students, and becoming a great teacher who raises fine mages for the world. A young Jung-ain practices magic under her father's watchful eye. She finally manages to produce a spark, her face lighting up with pure pride. Her father praises her warmly, but his tone turns serious. He tells her that being special isn't something you simply have. It's something you must live up to. Talent means nothing unless she becomes someone worthy of it. Ain, fired up and overflowing with confidence, declares her dream she'll become a grand mage just like him. In the moment inspiration hits, she looks around, eager to brag to her beloved Uncle Eugene. The scene jumps to the present. Ain now sits across from director Choi Yi-seok in his office, asking about Eugene. Instead of information, she gets a rant. To Choi, Eugene is a total monster, someone who melts people into mush with some unknown magic, possibly not even magic at all. His blank, unsettling face still haunts the man's nightmares. Choi can't understand how someone like that could have been the disciple of Jong Yui-hyuk, the grand mage known for compassion and charity. Ain tries to bring the conversation back on track, asking what kind of intel he has on Eugene. Choi dodges, ranting about getting caught off guard and beaten down years prior. This time, he claims, he's come prepared, gathering alumni combat elites to counter whatever freakish magic Eugene might throw. Ain stares at him flatly. This isn't the information she asked for. It's just him complaining about getting his ass handed to him. She stands to leave. As Ain heads for the door, Choi's subordinates block her path, offended by her bluntness. They demand she apologize, insist she cooperate. The Grand Mage's daughter isn't the Grand Mage herself. One of them even calls her a stuck-up bitch. A beat later, the room changes completely. Every one of those same subordinates is sprawled, defeated, groaning on the floor. Ain dusts herself off and calmly addresses the stunned director. Teach them manners before magic. Elsewhere, a customer confronts someone being obnoxiously loud in a cafe. It turns out to be Eugene. He apologizes instantly, voice polite, but the customer recoils anyway, unnerved by Eugene's eerie, unreadable face. They retreat, muttering excuses. Eugene goes back to sipping his drink, staring at his phone. Algorithms intimidate him more than monsters ever have. He sighs. He has no idea where to even begin with online promotion. Eugene remembers the detective's advice. Online promotion works better than handing out flyers. He swears he won't get distracted this time, and immediately gets distracted. Someone taps his back. He jumps so hard the girl falls over in fright. She assures him she's fine and asks if he's Eugene. When he confirms, she tells him someone wants to meet him. Soon, he's following her and her partner through the city. The guy behind him is quietly panicking. Eugene's presence is so intense that escorting him feels like a hostage mission. They call Jolnan in to update her. They've got him following without resistance, and they'll take a taxi soon. Eugene, clueless and curious, asks who he's being taken to. The escorting girl just says they want it to be a surprise, while internally wondering why he keeps staring at her like that. Earlier, Ain had gathered her subordinates and briefed them on Eugene. He's 34. A war orphan taken in by her father around age 4, trained as a mage, grew into a brilliant researcher, until he vanished 14 years ago. Her team murmurs among themselves. The rumors about him being the Grand Mage's disciple were actually true. One of them spots a childhood photo and nearly chokes. The adorable kid somehow became that terrifying adult. Ain assigns the retrieval to Hui Myung and Yoon Hae. Bring Eugene to her while she finishes preparations. When asked what she plans to do once they meet, her expression darkens. On the day Eugene disappeared, her father said he was disappointed in him. The disciple always at his side suddenly abandoned him and vanished. Now, after over a decade, Eugene has reappeared, and she needs to know his intentions. If he means to threaten or dishonor Jung Wi-hyuk in any way, she'll handle it personally. The team's only job is to locate him and bring him in. Back in the city, the escorting girl walks ahead of Eugene, her nerves spiking. Why does he keep staring at her like that? What is with this guy? Walking ahead of Eugene feels like walking with a blade at her back. The pressure, the staring, the suffocating tension. She keeps telling herself he wouldn't try anything in public. Then Eugene suddenly leans in and whispers by her ear, light and casual. Got it. You work with Ain, huh? She reacts on instinct. A spear of ice lashes out and slices through his hand before he even finishes the sentence. She shouts for a plan change, subdue him, and drag him in. Her partner activates his magic with a resigned groan. I knew it had come to this. A massive blast of blue energy crashes down from above, engulfing Eugene. The two subordinates bicker as smoke clears. One accuses the other of ruining the plan. The other snaps back, saying anyone would panic if Eugene stared at them like that and reached out. Then their voices die. The street darkens as Eugene rises out of the crater, hand regenerating smoothly from where it was sliced off. His expression is unreadable. He apologizes, calmly, genuinely. He's sorry for startling them earlier, but this level of retaliation feels a bit much. The memory flashes back to their earlier briefing, when they had asked Ain what to do if Eugene ever attacked first. Rumor said he'd killed countless mages, was the Grand Mage's disciple, and leagues above their level. Ain had told them not to worry. Eugene had talent, sure, but he was a researcher, not a warrior. If they ever faced him, they were to minimize damage and call her immediately. Back in the present, Ain arrives to find her subordinates half dissolved, trapped in Eugene's strange regenerating magic, squirming, panicking, and thoroughly traumatized. Eugene moves toward them, but Ain blasts him away with a clean, powerful strike, then crouches to check her team. They scream warnings through their mushy forms. His magic regenerates endlessly, breaks through defensive spells, and if he touches you, you're done. They insist he's a total freak. Ain decides immediately they need to relocate. She activates a transportation spell, shifting the battlefield elsewhere. The world stabilizes in a new location. Eugene looks around, then spots her. His eyes light up. He calls her name with pure joy, amazed at how much she's grown, marveling at the 14 years that have passed. He gushes like an uncle reuniting with a beloved niece, recognizing her hat as the one from her father, proud she became a mage. Ain cuts through his warmth like a blade. Why did you do that to my people? Eugene sheepishly explains that he misunderstood earlier. He startled them. They attacked with lethal spells, so he just restrained them lightly until they calmed down. Ain has no patience for it. She doesn't care about the details. She admits she was agonizing over what excuse she'd need to justify fighting him. But now, she realizes she doesn't need one. He's already broken. Magic circles bloom around Ain, one after another. Layers of reinforcement, curses, armor, weaponry, shields, exoskeletons, everything she can stack at once. She trembles with emotion. How dare he leave her staff like that? How dare he drag her father's name through the mud? How dare he walk back into their lives after disappearing? If he insists on returning after all the damage he's caused, then he has to fall by her hand. She activates a movement spell, her form blurring, and launches herself straight at him. Director Choi Yi-seok's residence lies in ruins, still echoing with the aftermath of Jung-ain's magic. One furious subordinate seethes at the destruction, calling it an unforgivable humiliation for both the director and the academy. Even the fact that Ain is the Grand Mage's daughter isn't enough to calm his rage. He wants retaliation. Choi Yi-seok, however, shuts him down immediately. He knows better. Calm but heavy with memory, he recalls a past mission alongside the Grand Mage. That was the first time in his life he ever felt completely insignificant as a mage. The gap between them wasn't just large, it was incomprehensible. Choi admits the bitter truth. Even if every combat mage in the academy attacked together, they wouldn't so much as touch a single hair on her head. Her magic isn't just powerful, it's a natural disaster given form. The scene cuts to the present battlefield, where Jung-ain mercilessly overwhelms Eugene with relentless magic. As explosions shake the ground, one thought echoes in Eugene's mind. Something about this feels wrong. Eugene watches Ain's rage with confusion. He can't understand why she's so angry. Genuinely concerned, he asks if something bad happened, because the Ain he once knew wouldn't act like this over a bad mood. Her response is venomous. She calls him a traitor. She accuses him of betraying her father, disappearing without gratitude, and returning only to disgrace the title of Grand Mage's disciple. And as the real disciple, she declares his punishment. Explosive spells rain down, blasting Eugene into the ground without mercy. As Eugene is battered by magic, one word echoes in his mind: betrayal. He can't understand what he did wrong. After more than a decade apart, this is how she greets him? The world fades into a memory. A much younger Ain stands before him, anxious and powerless, still unable to use magic. Afraid she may never become a mage, she seeks comfort from her uncle. Eugene reassures her with warmth and certainty. She is the beloved daughter of the greatest mage alive. Together, they'll find a way. And when she finally can use magic, they'll study it together. She makes him promise. The memory fades back to the present. In his heart, Eugene apologizes. He never kept that promise. Across the battlefield, Ain realizes something horrifying. None of her magic is working. Every spell, Every element, every attack, not a single one gets through. To her, Eugene feels less like a man and more like an undying monster. And Eugene finally understands. He left without ever seeing Aine become a mage. Aine begins to breathe heavily. The toll of her own overwhelming power is catching up to her. Aine tries to regain control, steadying her heart. She reminds herself that regeneration magic has limits. There are always ways to suppress it. Then Eugene suddenly shouts her name. His voice isn't angry, it's warm, apologetic. He realizes the truth at last. She's not attacking him out of hatred. She wanted to show him, to show off how far she's come, to prove, to brag, to be seen. And instead of fighting back, he praises her. He tells her how incredible her magic is, how much effort it must have taken to master so many spells, how hard she must have worked. For the first time, Aine freezes. Eugene adds one more blow, soft yet devastating. Her father must be so proud. The scene shifts to the past. Aine, newly awakened as a mage, stands radiant as her father praises her talent and achievements. She boasts eagerly, desperate to grow stronger. Her father smiles warmly and tells her he'll wait for her to become a disciple as proud-making as Uncle Eugene. Back in the present, her entire life of relentless training flashes by. Every near-death effort, every achievement, every ounce of praise she lived for, all of it built on one goal: to be seen. Aine's resentment finally spills over. No matter how hard she trained, no matter how many achievements she piled up, her father never once called her his most proud disciple. Yet Eugene, the one who left, the one labeled a disappointment, he still remained by her father's side as that very disciple. Back in the present, Eugene recalls a teaching principle he once studied for his academy: praise students' efforts clearly and actively. He genuinely believes this should finally calm her down. It does the exact opposite. Aine crushes open several energy capsules and swallows them without hesitation. Everything she's built, every drop of effort, she refuses to let it be brushed aside like a childish trick. Fueled by bitterness and pride, Aine begins drawing out an absurdly dangerous spell. If he's going to dismiss her power so lightly, then he'll face it head-on. She dares him to survive this one even with his precious regeneration. Her subordinates panic, screaming for her to stop. If she uses that spell here, everyone dies. Even Eugene is shaken. Eugene watches in awe as the magic structure forms. Three-wheel magic. He realizes it instantly. This isn't just talent. This is the result of unimaginable effort. His chest tightens with a completely different kind of emotion: pride. He wants to help her grow even further, to make everything she's built bear even greater fruit. As the demonized spear takes shape, Eugene suddenly moves. In mid-spell, his hand slips into Aine's casting form, seamlessly merging with her control. But what she needed wasn't praise. Instead of stopping the spell by force, Eugene starts adjusting it. He explains the inefficiencies in her manual control circuit, tweaks her mana distribution, simplifies the spell's layout as if this is a classroom lesson, not a battlefield. From a distance, her subordinates stare in stunned disbelief, unsure whether they should feel lucky to be alive or consider themselves already dead. Eugene continues casually, even critiquing her high-speed movement spell from earlier. That's when Aine finally snaps. She explodes at him for doing it again, publicly dissecting her flaws, mid-battle, as if nothing has changed in over a decade. He's still the same oblivious man who critiques first and considers feelings later. Her anger spills into memory. She brings up the cookies she once baked for her father's birthday, how Eugene ate them, and immediately critiqued the recipe in front of everyone. She didn't need a review. She needed support. She screams at him to stop meddling, stop patting himself on the back, and stop being so unbearably clueless. Her subordinates, listening from the sidelines, are completely thrown off by the sudden domestic-sounding trauma. Cookies? For her dad? She roasts people too? Eugene, finally realizing the mess he's caused, calmly undoes the dangerous magic for everyone using his strange mush-like spell. Aine exhales slowly, regaining her composure. If the fight continues like this, Sheech will end up looking like the unreasonable one. Then Eugene quietly asks the question that cuts deepest. When did she first start using magic? After everything they tried to help her, after every shared hope, she answers without hesitation. The day after Eugene left. One of Aine's subordinates suddenly realizes their face has returned to normal, gasping in relief, only to be instantly roasted by Aine without mercy. Business finished, she orders Huimyong and Yunhenie to withdraw. Then she turns back to Eugene. Her voice is calm now, too calm. She tells him she doesn't know what kind of life he's been living lately, but many mages have already abandoned him. Do whatever he wants, she says. Just don't drag her father's reputation down any further. If he insists on walking his own path, then he better do it carefully. Then the final blow lands. There's no need for him to return to her father anymore. For her and for her father, his empty seat no longer exists. As they prepare to leave, one subordinate hesitates, wondering what to do about Eugene. Ain turns back once more and asks where Eugene lives. They'll drop him off. Then she hands him her business card, not his family, as a last resort. She tells him to only call if there's real trouble, so he doesn't go running to her father again. No unnecessary contact, no emotional excuses. But instead of accepting the card with his hand, Eugene uses his magic. His body blends with hers for an instant and his hand slips through her chest, and he pulls out her heart. The world plunges inward, deep into Eugene's thoughts. He always hoped it wasn't true. He tried to understand. He told himself there had to be a reason. The past resurfaces in fragments. His master, Ain's father, cutting into him without mercy, tearing out his heart and holding it in his hand. That was the promise Eugene forced himself to believe. Back to the present. Eugene now stands holding Ain's heart in his own hand. It is identical to the one taken from him long ago. His voice trembles as he finally asks the question he's been avoiding for years. Master, what did you do with the heart you took from me? The reality becomes unbearable. This is something Eugene simply cannot accept. Friedrich storms in, furious, demanding to know what Jung Yui-hyuk has done. Yui-hyuk barely flinches, lazily complaining about the volume before dropping the real bomb. Exposing magic to ordinary humans was never part of the original plan. Friedrich explodes. Humans were hidden from magic for centuries for a reason. They destroyed themselves with their primitive knowledge. Before, and now Yui-hyuk is handing power to the unqualified. This wasn't about sharing swords with children, it was about mages ruling from above. Yui-hyuk snaps back just as sharply. Mages are humans too. The silence between them is heavy with betrayal. Yui-hyuk argues that hiding only caused magic to rot in stagnation. Revealing it isn't destruction, it's the beginning of shared prosperity. Friedrich responds with a spell. With a casual flick of his wrist, the structures behind them are obliterated in a violent blast. Lives erased in an instant. And he calls that mutual prosperity. Yui-hyuk doesn't back down. He tells Friedrich to simply watch. This era and mages themselves will change. And among the powerless lives Friedrich mocks so easily, there may one day rise a mage so terrifying that even the strongest grand mage will be forced to acknowledge them. For the first time, Yui-hyuk calls Friedrich a mere mage who dares defy him. The scene cuts sharply to Jung-un, sleeping on a couch. Voices seep into her consciousness. She stirs, opens her eyes. Her subordinates whisper nearby, shaken by what happened. One of them notices she's awake. Ain, disoriented, asks the first thing on her mind. Where is she? Eugene looms into view with his terrifyingly calm face. One of the subordinates explains she's at Eugene's academy, her uncle's place. The academy director. Eugene cheerfully confirms it. His uncle is opening a magic academy, and it's right before launch. He's swamped finishing the interior, recruiting students, even trying social media promotion for the first time. As Eugene babbles on, Ain touches her chest internally, stunned. My heart, there's no problem with it. Did he seriously pull it out with magic and shove it back in? She snaps at her subordinates in disbelief. They were casually chatting with the person who cripped her heart out. They panic at her wording and hurriedly clarify. This is Eugene, the academy director. And worse, he already knew everything about her secret heart condition. The explanation hits hard. Ain used massive magic earlier. The shock from collapsing likely forced her weakened heart into a dangerous state. And that's why Eugene intervened. The subordinates explain how terrified they were when Ain collapsed. Eugene carried all of them here in a panic. A hospital was impossible. Her condition is classified. Ain bows slightly to Eugene, apologizing for the intrusion and saying she'll leave now. But Eugene stops her. His uncle wants to speak with her. Something important. Ain turns to her subordinates and tells them to head home first. As they walk through the streets, they gossip freely, joking about how their terrifying chief somehow has an unbelievably soft personality. One of them admits they finally understand why she gets scammed so easily. The two reflect on the irony of their situation. Their chief is about to meet one-on-one with the man who ripped her heart out while she was alive. They glance again at the academy flyer from earlier. Teaching students, with that face and that magic, it sounds insane. But they can't deny the skill. Regeneration that brutal. Attacks that pierce defense magic. It is as tempting. They scoff at the idea that their chief would sell her livelihood-level magic just for money. Clearly, this is just promotion. Then suddenly, Wim Young bumps into someone. Before they can move on, the stranger casually identifies them from online videos. Mages who work with the Grand Mage's daughter, Zhang Ain. Unwanted fame, apparently. They try to laugh it off. And then the stranger speaks again with amused warmth. It's Friedrich, one of the greatest mages alive. And he didn't expect young people to recognize him so easily either. The man introduces himself calmly, a close friend of Ain's father, someone like an uncle to her. The scene shifts to Eugene and Ain alone. He doesn't waste time. Every time she uses magic, it strains her heart, doesn't it? Ain stiffens. Did he hear that from her father? There's no point hiding it anymore. She admits it flatly. If she keeps using magic like this, she'll probably die soon. Eugene freezes. She explains it like it's nothing. Inheriting her father's rare genius came with a cruel condition. A mana allergy so rare it sounds absurd. Every use crushes her heart little by little, until one day it simply bursts. Death guaranteed. In Eugene's mind, one thought echoes in horror. Mana allergy sounds like a convenient lie. Ain immediately snaps back. So that's why he ripped open her chest to check. She calls him impulsive, unchanged, and tries to stand. She has mountains of work waiting. Before she can even rise, Eugene grabs her wrist. He speaks fast now. The world doesn't only need mages. There are countless paths she could take. Instead of living on borrowed time, she could choose another life. His uncle will help her. She could start fresh. That's when Ain explodes. She yanks her hand back. He crossed the line, and she makes it clear. He has no right to interfere in her life anymore. She tells him the truth coldly. This life is hers. Being special, being an Archmage's kin. This curse, this sickness, this burden, it's hers to carry. And if the only way to live as a normal human means abandoning that specialness, she'd rather just die. Then she looks at him sharply and mocks his academy plans. A magic academy suits him perfectly. Instead of meddling in her life, he should focus on finding students who'll pay him and actually listen. Eugene softly calls her name. He's about to say the truth, but the moment is stolen. Her phone rings. It's Yunhae. Something is wrong. Ain hears it in her voice instantly. She tells her to hang in there. She's coming right now. She rushes out, apologizing briefly. Left behind, Eugene stands frozen. Should I have told her? The world fades into memory. 14 years ago. Eugene and Ain's father stand over failed simulations. Even using every medical spell he knows, Eugene can't stop mana rejection in someone innately unable to accept it, especially when transplanting a mage's heart. If they could solve this single issue, they could create great mages with integrity and wisdom. Ain's father stops him. Implanting Eugene's heart, packed with the highest mana, into a child not even 8 years old, is he truly willing to do that? Eugene doesn't hesitate. Ain is his precious niece, his master's daughter. Of course he would give her the best he has. But even then, living on borrowed time would only delay the inevitable. They shelve the method. There has to be another way. Back in the present, Eugene's thoughts unravel. Even if he told her now, Ain would never stop. Should he have restrained her by force, sealed her magic? Then the final truth crashes down on him. Ain is dying. Because of him. Just like 14 years ago, he has no choices left. None at all. Eugene stands alone with his thoughts, drowning in guilt. He calls himself what he's always feared most, a useless coward. The doorbell rings. The scene cuts to Zhong'an meeting Friedrich. He casually examines her, unimpressed. Aside from hair and eye color, he doesn't see much resemblance. That hat, though, it stirs old memories. Ain feels it instantly. The pressure of just standing in front of him is overwhelming. This is real. This man was once her father's right hand. The traitor who shattered multiple cities by defying him. Friedrich sips his drink lazily, muttering about nostalgia. A name echoes in Ain's mind with pure dread. Friedrich Gomorrah. In a blink, Ain's subordinate is lifted helplessly into the air by bizarre, unseen magic. Her heart sinks. The strongest combat mage alive. With the same effortless force, Friedrich flings both subordinates across the ground and tosses them near her like discarded objects. He clicks his tongue in irritation. Why does she keep weaklings like this around? They're not even useful as errand boys. On the ground, barely conscious, they force out warnings. Run. They apologize for calling her. They were just too scared. Ain doesn't hesitate. She casts a transportation spell instantly, sending them to the hospital. They barely have time to process it. One blurts out in shock. Did she just thank them for everything? They vanish. Ain whispers a quiet apology. Friedrich watches calmly. She's had enough time to sort things out. Now it's her turn to help him. He's going to meet her father, Zhong Wei-hyuk, for the first time in 30 years. Friedrich smiles coldly. He can't show up empty-handed. The daughter's neck should make a perfect gift. Wouldn't a 30-year reunion be that much more dramatic? Ain's response is instantaneous and merciless. A so-called old friend who doesn't even know her father's tastes isn't getting past the door. Her father won't be seeing him today. She spreads killing intent through the air and offers him something else instead, a place to die honorably. Zhong Ain's two subordinates lie broken and unmoving near the hospital entrance, soaked in blood and barely clinging to life. Medics rush in, shouting orders. Massive blood loss, critical condition, straight to resuscitation. The chaos fades. The scene shifts to a quiet room where the detective sits across from Eugene on a couch, awkwardly explaining that the department prepared a guide for social media promotions just like he asked. He tries to sound upbeat, but the pressure in the room is suffocating. Watching Eugene mope in silence feels downright terrifying. The detective finally asks what could have possibly crushed Eugene this badly. Eugene, hollow-eyed, apologizes and drops the bomb. He's scrapping the academy. He's done. He's going to find a different job. The detective is stunned. Eugene explains. There was a child who fought desperately for a dream even to the point of hurting themselves. And instead of helping, he told them to give up. He believes he wounded them deeply. In his own eyes, he's nothing but a meddlesome busybody who doesn't understand people at all. An educator? He laughs bitterly at the idea. The detective cuts in, firm but calm. As a detective, he says, it's painfully common. He's saved victims only to be yelled at for broken doors. He's rescued someone from jumping, only to be slapped in the face afterward. People ignore danger. People reject help. That doesn't change the duty. Should he have left them to die? No. Saving them was still his job. He looks Eugene in the eye and tells him, if a student is blind to their own suffering, the role of an educator is to show them the danger, worry with them, and help them find a way through it. That's the job. Inside, Eugene admits quietly to himself that that's exactly what he wanted to do. He just never knew how. The detective softens. This is a world with magic. If there's a way through anything, it has to be out there somewhere. And suddenly, Eugene's eyes sharpen. Of course, why didn't he think of that before? The world violently shifts. The battlefield between Jung-ein and Friedrich erupts across shattered mountains and gouged earth. A blazing fire spell tears toward Ein. She blocks it coldly with Mana Bullet XIO. The clash alone reshapes the terrain. Ein vanishes. She reappears behind Friedrich in an instant, unleashing second ring magic in a terrifying chain, super vibrating rebar, axe blade storms, telekinetic strikes, mana blades all at once. Friedrich barely holds the line, raising a red barrier and detonating a counter-fire spell that blasts Ein away. Even as she's thrown back, Ein fires telekinesis at full output. The ground rises like a massive wave and crashes down on Friedrich, burying him alive. Ein staggers, visibly exhausted. Then, she hears his voice from beneath the crushed earth. He calmly dissects her power, the absurd number of attributes, the reckless layering of spells, the vast mana capacity capable of overturning mountains, all of it acknowledged, all of it judged. Friedrich erupts back out of the rubble using the same fire element, barely scratched. He looks at Ein with a faint smile. So, is that the kind of praise she wanted to hear? Yes, she can spam countless spells, but she hasn't truly mastered a single one. He didn't come all this way to watch a flashy talent show. That's when he notices it. Ein isn't listening anymore. In front of him, she is already forming something far more dangerous. A third ring spell begins to manifest. Meteor, Spear of the Pupil. The sky itself screams as the spell descends, erasing everything in its path. Ein collapses to the ground, her body finally giving in. Her heart screams under the strain. Even after unleashing 3-ring magic, even after pouring out every spell she has, she's empty. One more light spell, and she'll self-destruct. As the truth sinks in, despair wraps around her chest. Not just her magic is finished, her life might be too. Friedrich appears before her, floating calmly in the air. As Ein stares up at him, she clings to one last fragile hope that her final battle, her final struggle, will at least remain something her father can be proud of. Then Friedrich calls out to her like she's nothing more than a stray kid. Instead of killing her, Friedrich tells her to go home. That alone shocks her. Coldly, he admits he expected a masterpiece from the blood of Jong-wee Hyuk, but what he saw was nothing more than crude magic bloated with raw firepower and flashy effects. Her 3-ring spell? Just 3 unstable rings smashed together with no elegance. He's not impressed. He's disappointed. Then he twists the knife deeper, saying he almost feels sorry for the Grand Mage for having a failure like her as his offspring. Killing her, he says, would only be doing her father a favor. Then Friedrich turns away. He refuses to do anything that would benefit Jong-wee Hyuk, even killing his daughter. The weak subordinate she brought as bait already told him everything he needed to know. She bored him. He tells her to go home, wash up, and sleep. Just like that. Ein panics as he starts to leave. She screams after him, demanding he finish it, reminding him that he promised to take her head to her father. This can't be how it ends. If she lives like this, if she survives after being stripped of her magic and pride, she'll be left with nothing but a pathetic, empty life. Friedrich sighs in irritation. Her crying grates on his nerves. He tells her to stop whining. But if she's truly begging to die after being spared, then maybe he should reconsider. Before Friedrich can act, someone else steps in. Out of nowhere, Eugene appears in front of Ein, completely calm, as if he's just walked into an inconvenient scene. He glances around casually. Oh, so this is where Ein went. Ein stares up at him in disbelief. Uncle, Eugene? Eugene's phone rings out of nowhere. The moment he hears who's on the line, his tone shifts. Friedrich, that old man. He pieces everything together quickly, already pinpointing the location. There's no hesitation. Ain is in danger, and he's moving immediately. He turns to Detective Kim with an apologetic look, explaining that something extremely urgent has come up. Kim doesn't press him and urges him to go. Before leaving, Eugene asks for the flyer Kim is holding. He scribbles something on it while quietly apologizing for the worried expression he'd been wearing earlier, especially after Kim took time out of a busy schedule just to check on him. Kim brushes it off, slightly embarrassed, calling himself nosy. With a flash of magic, Eugene opens an actual window through the wall and prepares to leave. He thanks Detective Kim, admitting that those nosy words gave him the courage he needed. He promises to get in touch once he finishes the urgent business. Kim watches him leave through the window in stunned silence. Just how urgent is it if he's leaving through the wall? Eugene looks energized again, but in the creepiest way possible. Eugene soars through the sky in a new bird-like form, eyes locked on his destination. This is the place mentioned in the call. As he surveys the ground below, he whistles at the devastation. The entire area looks like it was wiped out by a missile strike. If magic caused this level of destruction, then the enemy is no joke. As Eugene flies overhead, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. Ain shouts that she's not done yet. In an instant, Eugene dives from the sky and grabs her hand. Ain freezes in shock, completely unprepared for his sudden appearance. She demands to know how he found her. Eugene casually explains that Go Huimyong, the man working with her, called and warned him. Before he can even finish his sentence, a brutal strike slams straight into his head. Friedrich steps forward, clicking his tongue in disgust. He mocks Eugene's appearance, even asking if he's Ain's boyfriend. Interrupting him is bad enough, but looking that hideous is apparently unforgivable. Eugene, unfazed, bends casually while keeping Ain protected, remarking that Friedrich's temper hasn't changed since the old days. He asks for a moment, promising to deal with him right after he finishes talking to Ain. Ain stares in absolute disbelief. Then Eugene does something impossible. He reaches into Ain's chest and pulls out her heart still beating in his hand. Her mind blanks. What is this? What is he doing? Eugene calmly shows it to her, explaining that her heart is in such a dangerous state that it could explode at any moment, but she cuts him off, shouting him down. She tells him not to interfere. Not now, not ever. This isn't meddling, it's her choice. Then the real reason spills out. She refuses to let him take away her chance to die as Oh Jung-Wi-Hyok's daughter. Eugene freezes at the word ruin. Then his anger finally explodes. What kind of adult would stand by and let a child march toward death without stopping her? His voice shakes the battlefield. Ain falters. If not this, then what is she supposed to do? Ain breaks down completely. This is her only chance to be special to her father. The only way to prove herself. She doesn't want to die. But with a heart like this, becoming a grand mage is impossible. So how else is she supposed to become her father's proudest disciple? Then he gently tells her to put that specialness down for now. He hands her the flyer. If she promises not to give up on life, if she gives him the chance to take responsibility, then no matter what it costs, he will make her a grand mage. Ain doesn't answer right away. Even her father couldn't save her. So how could Eugene? She swallows the doubt before it can escape, because standing in front of her is the man she always desperately wanted to become, her father's proudest disciple. She forces out a shaky joke, accusing him of threatening people by grabbing their hearts. Unbelievable. Truly. Still, her doubt is already cracking. Ain finally decides. She'll take the chance. Should she call him master? Uncle? Maybe this man can let her dream again. The dream she already buried. Eugene rejects the title instantly. Too old-fashioned. Then, grinning like an idiot, he squeezes her heart so hard impurities burst out of it. Call me Teacher Eugene to be trendy. Ain completely loses it. Teacher? You crazy bastard. What are you doing? Then she blinks. It doesn't hurt. Inside, Eugene quietly makes his wish. It was good to see her again after so long. Shameless as it is, he has a favor to ask. Not as his heart anymore, but as Jane's heart. The heart melts back into her body. The overflowing mana is gone, completely silent, yet her heart feels peaceful. For the first time, her body feels like it truly belongs to her again. She can still live, still aiming for grand magic. Now that Ain is safe, Eugene finally turns his full attention to Friedrich. Calmly, almost politely, he says that if Friedrich has business with them, he'll hear it out. Friedrich, meanwhile, is scrolling through his phone like he's bored out of his mind. Being ignored like this is apparently new for him. He scoffs. Business? He didn't have any. But something is bothering him. Eugene spoke earlier like they had history. Friedrich doesn't remember ever meeting some gross-looking nobody like him. Eugene answers casually. Of course he wouldn't remember. It's been about 30 years. Back when Friedrich stormed into Eugene's master's place, threw a tantrum, got scolded, and ran away, Friedrich's smile twists with rage. Scolded? Ran away? Interesting choice of words. Then his killing intent erupts. Why is it that every brat raised by Ca Jung Wee Hyuk has such a filthy mouth? The surge of power he releases is suffocating. It makes tearing them apart feel that much more satisfying. Behind Eugene, Ain panics. Is he insane? That's Friedrich, a monster on the same level as the Grand Mages. He saved her just to get them both killed. Before she can finish, Eugene grabs her by the shoulder and pulls her close. Instead of fear, Eugene smiles. This actually works out well. Friedrich is far too dangerous to just leave roaming free. Then the world seems to darken around them as Eugene keeps speaking. And showing Ain this kind of situation firsthand will make it unforgettable. He tells her to watch closely. For Eugene Magic Academy's very first student, Zhang Ain. This is the official start of Teacher Eugene's Grand Mage Curriculum, Orientation.